Still muted. Hey everyone, it's Jodi here. Hi. Hello. Happy Monday, everybody. So yeah, it's just been such a full new year already. I don't know if it's been for you, but for me and my family, it's been very, very full and emotional and amazing and connecting and sad. But we had a loss in our family. My father-in-law passed. So we just had the funeral this weekend, and it was just such a huge legacy of love, very heartening. So I'm feeling full, but not full and buoyed by that love. So that's just the state I'm in. How are all of you? I'm starting my semester at school too, so it's big. It's big. Trying to get a little personal here. Okay, so I thought about this a couple weeks ago. People always ask me questions about the law of attraction and what's it all about, and because it makes a lot of people feel bad. And there is a really good reason for why it makes people feel bad, is because it's not inclusive of the context of our life. It doesn't take into consideration oppressive contexts that a lot of us are living in. You know, especially people with marginalized social identities. And that matters so much, because if we think about the law of attraction and just think that we attract everything that we feel or everything that we experience, there's a lot of self-blame that could come onto us because we think that we've caused things that our society has caused, that colonization and oppression and other problems and abuse, or a difficult family situation, poverty, oppressive governments, the list goes on and on. We don't cause those things. And I know quantum physics, at some level, everything in the world is a reflection of our mind, but that doesn't mean that we're causing people to abuse us or we're causing people to hurt us. Sometimes we make choices to be around people that are not nice to us, and we continue to do that sometimes. And sometimes we're in the wrong place at the wrong time, or we're born into the wrong place at the wrong time, to no fault of our own. So I think it's a very important distinction that a lot of times when people start learning the law of attraction and they feel really sad, or they feel really bad, or they don't have much bandwidth, or whatever is going on in their life, it makes them feel like somebody is blaming them for still being sad or still struggling when they've had a really crappy time. They've gone through a lot of difficulty that nobody should have to go through. And their nervous system and their mind and their emotions and everything has been affected by that. And so if you're saying you're choosing your sadness, it hurts those people, because there is a lot more to overcome when you've had that experience. If you're interested a little bit in that and wondering, last week I did a video on the nervous system privilege. I might remake that video because I had two cameras going and I was looking at the wrong camera, and it looks like the whole video I'm not even looking at you, which I feel like is not very personal. So I might remake that, but knowing that if you watch it, there's good information in there to really explain how, you know, if you've had experience that you're very supported and you have people around you and you haven't had a lot of trauma, that actually gives you privilege. That creates a context that makes a lot of things easier for you. And there's other people that haven't had that kind of privilege because they've gone through really horrible things, and that matters. So when the law of attraction just makes people feel like it's their choice that they're in problems that they're in, that is a problem for me, because people are already in those kind of places. If you listen to my podcast, so my first season of my podcast dropped this weekend, and so I talk about all these cultural reasons, all these biological reasons why people struggle with mental health issues, especially anxiety and depression. So I talk you through all that. If you want to know what is going on, why it's really increasing, then go and watch that, listen to that podcast. It is for young people, but you will benefit at every age, because we're all experiencing this problem. It's called Anxiety, I'm So Done With You, with Dr. Jodi. So I missed out. I'm sorry. I went on a tangent. I missed out what I was saying. So if you're curious about all of this stuff and why this is happening and how to explain it and why we blame ourselves, all of that is all in this first season. So people who've experienced hardship are already blaming themselves. So the law of attraction doesn't really help people heal. Sometimes it keeps them feeling oppressed. It actually reoppresses them. So that is something that I really worry about. So it's not all, I don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because there's some elements in there that is helpful to us. But you could maybe explain them different ways. Like if we pay a lot of attention to something and we give a lot of our energy to something, we are going to envelope ourselves in that thing. That's maybe a little bit more obvious. So the more attention you pay to something, the more energy it takes from you, or the more energy you give it, obviously, right? So that maybe lines up with the law of attraction. But also, this is what most people get wrong, is they think that if I am afraid of a car accident, then I might manifest a car accident into my life. And so they're really afraid, if they think about a car accident, that there might be like bringing it to them, bringing that horrible experience to themselves, but that's not how it works. So when we pay a lot of attention to something, does the universe say, oh, she wants that, let's give her more of that? It's a little more nuanced than that. If we're afraid of a car accident and we spend a lot of times allowing ourselves to be afraid of the car accident. So mostly this happens with fear, is a great way to give this example. But if we're afraid of a car accident and we have a lot of fear about that, and we give a lot of attention to that fear, then we're not going to have a car accident. We're going to have more fear of a car accident, right? Because we're giving it validity. We're giving it attention, and we're saying this is a valid thing to worry about, and so we're going to be more worried about it. So you're not getting the car accident, you're getting more fear of a car accident. But it's a little more obvious how that works than this kind of woo-woo law of attraction. It's not manifested, it's not magic. The more attention you give to something, the more food and more nurturing you give to something, the stronger it is in your life. So if you do that for something that you want, or something good, or gratitude, or connections and relationship, good people who lift you up, then you are going to see that and experience that. There's a story, and I'm not going to get it right, and I feel I just told it to a friend, and maybe I told it on a video recently, I'm not really sure. But some farmer was by the side of the road, and a traveler was walking along the road and stopped at the farmer and said, how are people in that village out yonder? I don't know how to tell the story. How are the people in the village? And the farmer says, well, how were the people in your last village? And the traveler said, they were the worst sort of people. They just wanted to take advantage of you, and they were really rude. And the farmer says, I expect you're going to find the same people in the next town. So the traveler went on, and a new traveler started walking down the road and stopped at the farmer, again, same farmer. And the traveler said, how are people at the town up ahead? And the farmer said, well, how were the people at the last town you were in? And the farmer said, they were the most loving, wonderful people that you could ever imagine. And the farmer said, I expect you'll find the same kind of people at the next town. So there's some of that. What we see, what we believe, we see more of. Whatever we believe, we see more of. Whatever we know, whatever stories we tell about ourselves, whatever stories that we tell around about the world, becomes a lens of how we see things. It's a better way to describe it. So if we have themes in our life that we're a problem or nobody loves us, then we're going to experience things through that lens, and we might read or make meaning around what happens through that kind of lens. That's a better way to think about it than a law of attraction, that you think of something and are manifesting it. So I hope that's really helpful today. I hope that serves you to knowing how to feel better. Yes, we could heal ourselves. So even if we have that difficulty, I don't want to discount the context of our life, that of oppression or marginalization or racism or any kind of discrimination that people experience, or abuse or hardship or poverty. I don't want to excuse those things are so much on a person. They affect us. But it doesn't mean it's a life sentence. There is hope. I want to acknowledge that that's an experience, that it's not fair, but I also want to acknowledge that people can get better so that there's hope. I don't want to take hope away by being like, yep, that's why you feel that bad. You know what I mean? So both of those could be true at the same time. It's not fair. It's not okay. And there's still hope. And we all have to participate in holding that hope for each other, holding that hope for ourselves, but also making the changes when you see the problems, making those changes to rebalance or, rebalance justice. Yeah. So one of the things was really on my mind. I'm almost done, but if you have any questions, type them in here for me. One thing that I just wanted to share is that this idea of a candle, because I interviewed after the season 1 of my podcast. So season 1 goes along with chapter 1 of my book, Anxiety, I'm So Done With You. And this book, I did every section of chapter 1, and then I interviewed my nephew. He wanted to be on my podcast, so I interviewed him, and I thought it was really good to have a young person's story of struggle and how they handled that and what they did along the process. But at the end, we're talking about hope as in the metaphor of a candle. Like sometimes you feel like your candle's not lit and you need somebody else to hold that candle for you for a while and help you relight it. And it's beautiful because if I relight somebody's candle and give them hope, I don't extinguish my own. Like the flames could just grow and grow and grow. And that's a metaphor. I think one of my very, very first videos that I ever made on YouTube, like 12 years ago, was about that same exact concept. That we could light somebody's candle and it doesn't take anything away from ourselves to do that. We live in such deficit mentality that we feel like whatever we give, that we're like making a sacrifice, but that's not true. When we give something to somebody else, we get it for ourselves. We're blessed by that. And when we're blessed, if we're truly blessed, then if it's in our highest good, then it's in the highest good of everyone around. And then it just overflows out to the people around us. So that is a legacy that my father-in-law gave. So I know many of you maybe don't know him, and some of you are watching this and know him and know exactly what I'm talking about. The love legacy of my father-in-law, 𝔼𝕝. So anyhow, just wanted to overflow that love to all of you today. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week. But until then, be present and let that you want to be shine through.